Welcome back to my channel. Every single one of us has some sort of addiction behavior that helps us get through life. Whether it's anxiety, depression, or stress, we all tend to look for that one thing that's going to give us some relief. And I think there's always that question in the back of our minds that comes up and says, how do you know you're addicted to something? Well, I think I can help you with that. So let's get started. Thanks for being here right now because I care about what you're working through. My name is Carol and I'm a life coach from carolcares.com who helps all teens and young adults work through their mental health challenges. If you are thinking of self-harming right now, please hit the video link above at any time during this video. So, how do you know when you're addicted to something? Well, let me start off by saying this first. Every single person out there, including myself, has some sort of addictive behavior or behaviors that they turn to when they want to avoid some emotional pain, whether it's stress or depression, anxiety, or relationship problems. It's true. Of course, not everyone would admit it. Addictive substances and behaviors are everywhere. So you're definitely not alone on this one. But at what point does one say to oneself, whoa, there's a problem here. I think I'm addicted to something. How do you know when you're addicted to something? Well, I want to begin with my personal experience with addiction behaviors or addictions. I grew up in a home with an alcoholic father. He was drunk almost every day, and when he drank, his personality changed drastically. He became physically, verbally, and sexually abusive. And it was obvious that he was addicted to alcohol. Not only because of how much and how often he drank, but because of how his drinking affected his behavior and everyone else around him. My own father had deep emotional pain that he needed to keep hidden. And that's why he drank. Life for him was very painful. So for me personally, I've always said that food is my drug of choice. I'm an overeater and a binge eater. My earliest memory of my addiction behavior was probably when I was about 7 or 8 years old. I used to walk home with a friend from school and we'd pass by a grocery store every day. And for a period of time, I remember entering the store with my friend and we would wear these ponchos so that we could steal chocolate bars and walk out with them. And every day I'd probably steal about 1 or 2 of them. And as I was walking home, I remember shoving down these chocolate bars before I got home. And I probably did it because of the guilt of having stole it from the store. But I really didn't know why I was doing it at the time. But I totally understand it now. I mean, I was going home to a very chaotic house where I had to deal with my father's drinking and his abusive behavior. So that was just too much for a little girl of 7 or 8 years old to handle. And food was what I used to cope every day. Now, it took me a long time to admit that I even had an eating disorder. I mean, I used to tell everybody that I just love food, and I did, and I still do. But I also struggled with my weight all my life. And I was bullied about it growing up. In fact, I was called fat growing up, and I wasn't fat, I was a big girl. But my food addiction really didn't affect others, but it affected me. I went on diets and I tried all sorts of things to control my eating. But it just got worse as the years went on, until I had to look at why I was binging and overeating all the time. I knew it wasn't about what I was eating, but it was about what was eating me. In fact, there was a lot that was eating at me. Food, and in particular sugar and overeating, helped me survive day to day. When a lot of days I didn't think I was going to make it. It was what I used to cope. I ate to numb the pain. I ate to deal with the way I felt about me. I hated myself. And I became even more disgusted with me because I binged. And so I ate more to punish myself. And I got caught up in this vicious cycle and I saw no way out. So from these two stories, it's very easy to see how addictive behavior can be very obvious for some, as in the case of my father. Yet for others, it's really difficult to identify, as in my case. In fact, we sometimes can go years without seeing or admitting what we actually may be addicted to, or if we're addicted to something. And we can have more than one addiction at a time. We can be cross-addicted. Or we can give up one and then we can go to another. I definitely have experienced cross addiction throughout my life. But how do you know you're addicted to something? At what point do you say to yourself, this is an addiction for me? It might not be for someone else, or that this behavior is an addiction. Take, for example, the cell phone. A lot of you spend a significant amount of time on it. But if you look around, so is everyone else. Maybe you smoke weed, but so do a lot of other people you know. So then everyone must be addicted? Or nobody is addicted because everyone's doing it. So which one is it? How do you know you're addicted to something, especially when everyone else is doing it? Or maybe you just need it to help you with your anxiety and your stress. It's really hard sometimes to see or admit that you may have an addiction. And becoming addicted to something is definitely not something that we set out to do. It just seems like it happens over time. So at what point does your phone, the internet, gambling, alcohol, drugs, gaming, pornography, sex, Netflix, self-harm, exercise, work, overachievement, vaping, shopping, or food become an addiction? You know, this video has nothing to do with judging your addiction behaviors. At all. In fact, I'm not even asking you to judge yourself. This video is not about shaming yourself. You have addictive behaviors for a reason, and I will tackle that topic in one of my next videos on addictions. Right now, I only want to help you to start look at your own behaviors. I want to give you 3 signs to look for. And if they apply to your behaviors of watching TV or gaming or being on your phone, whatever the addictive behavior is, only you know, then maybe it's time that you have to consider that these may be addictive behaviors for you. So let's take a look at the signs of an addictive behavior. Number 1, this behavior or substance helps you cope. Maybe your food helps you to deal with your emotions, your depression, or anxiety. Alcohol might help you to relax, or maybe it's your way to loosen up, especially when you're in a social situation. Weed might be what you use to cope with your anxiety, and that may be the only thing that works. So the key here is that whatever you're doing, it's helping you to deal, to relax, to cope, or to numb. It provides an immediate fix. Now let's look at the next sign. Number 2, this behavior or substance is hard to give up. It has this magnetic quality to it. It's your automatic go-to. You crave it if you don't have it. You have to have some of it. You have to do it. Some of you may already know that there is no way you would give up your phone or your weed. You rely on it to get you through your life, and you definitely can't see giving it up. It's just not an option. I know for me, I know when I need a sugar fix, I will definitely crave it. Can you give up this behavior or this substance? That's the question here. Next sign. Number 3, this behavior or substance affects your health, your relationships, and your behavior. Addictions can have a real negative impact on your life, not just for you, but for those around you. You spend a lot of time doing it, and this can gradually take a real toll on your health and your relationships around you, especially if you find yourself doing this behavior for hours on end. Maybe you've already started to see that in your own life. Maybe people around you are probably commenting on how you spend too much time doing it, or too much time being under the influence of a certain substance. If you're gaming a lot, you may be experiencing problems with your sleep or attendance at school, or maybe your marks. And gaming may even interfere with some of your significant relationships that you have. You may be isolating a lot from friends and family. And sometimes you may even choose this addictive behavior over a very significant person in your life. So drugs and alcohol addictions have obvious behavior issues that can be associated with them. Some of you may engage in risky sexual behavior where you're exposing yourself to others or to STIs. You may be losing good friends or fighting with family members, and you're showing up at school, maybe under the influence. Maybe some of you have been suspended or maybe even expelled because of your drug or alcohol problems. Even something not so obvious like running or working out or playing another sport can actually have a negative impact on your life. As a runner, you can be addicted to the runner high that kicks in because of the endorphins that are released. And you can use your running to deal with your stress or your anxiety to the point that you can't even live without it, even if you become injured. Work can even become all-consuming, that it affects your relationships with your family and your friends because you have to maintain a certain status or you have to earn so much money. So to sum up here, you know you're addicted to something if it helps you cope with life, if it's hard to give up, and it affects your health, your relationships, and your behavior. But what you don't know is that you have this addiction for a very good reason. You want relief from that painful place that you're in. I want you to know that there is help for you, and I can help you. I want to help you with your pain that you are trying to numb. Life doesn't have to be this huge day-to-day struggle just to survive. Breaking free from an addiction takes a lot of courage and strength on your part, but I know you can do this. I know you can. So let's take this one step at a time, together. You will begin to see some real changes in your life once you make the decision to break free from your addiction behaviors. Only you can decide if you have an addiction and if you want help. In my next video, I will provide you with some valuable steps that you can take in order to help you overcome your addiction. And as always, if you have any further questions about addictions or any other challenges that you may be facing right now, you can go on my website, carolcares.com, and fill out a form to ask a question. You can also subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram. And please don't forget to tell others about my channel so that they can get the help that they need. And as always, remember to have compassion for yourself for what you're going through and stay safe. Bye for now.